Well, good morning. I'm really impressed with the turnout this morning. This is really great. I'm always impressed with a little free food early in the morning. And thank you all very much for coming this morning. It's a wonderful day out there, but starting off with a good breakfast and a little bit of mathematics is always a good way to start the day. Before we launch into the talk today by Professor Zhao, I do want to thank some of the people that have helped to make this breakfast lecture series work. We have a number of financial supporters that have continued to help us put this on as a free event for the community. This includes the Beal Family Foundation. Mark Chapin Johnson has been a really strong, continuous supporter of the lecture series. Janelle Malloy has been supporting us. We've got supporters of Gloria Brownberger and Jack Christensen, Virginia Lady, Linda Singh, Don Ronaldson, Betty Soloway, Joseph and Peggy Stemler. These are all people who have been coming to the breakfast lecture for a number of years and have continued to provide us with financial support, and we really do appreciate that, because I think this ends up being a really positive thing for the school as well as for the community. Before we launch into Professor Zhao's talk today, I do want to spend a little time just giving you an overview of new things that have gone on in the school, some of the things that we're at least recently most proud of. As most of you are aware, the school really is made up of four different departments: the Department of Chemistry, the Department of Earth System Science, the Department of Mathematics, and the Department of Physics and Astronomy. The breakfast lecture series, at least in its present form, is four different lectures throughout the year, where we, at each lecture, pick a different department and pick one of the faculty that we haven't heard from in a while, or the community hasn't necessarily heard from in a while, and ask them to give a lecture on their work and how it relates to things that might be fun and interesting to the community. In addition, as you know, the school is really has been tremendously successful in terms of both research and teaching. In today's economy, I get a lot of questions of how sort of the economic crisis has impacted the university. And it is having a big impact on the university, as you've seen in the newspapers, where the regents have made decisions to cut down on the enrollment next year throughout the UC system. The UCI is planning on a smaller freshman class. At a research level, it's also impacting the university, but to some extent a little bit less, because the research in the school is really funded predominantly by the faculty going out and getting research grants, mostly from the federal and state governments. And the bottom line is our faculty are very good at that. And so our research funding continues to be pretty strong. Where the economic slowdown is really hurt is in infrastructure problems and so on within the school. And so those continue to be issues, but in spite of that, we're actually doing very well. So one of the things that is sort of a mark of how well the university is doing is just what kind of external recognition do we get? And one thing that we're very proud of this year as a campus is there's a society called the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS, that elects fellows to the society each year. And this year, there were 20 faculty from UCI that were elected as fellows of the AAAS. That's the largest number of fellows elected to the AAAS from any university in the United States. 7 of those, that's something we're really very pleased with. Just as a comparison, one of the smaller campuses of the University of California, UC Berkeley, had 11 faculty elected to AAAS this year. So this 20 number is actually a big deal. 7 of those 20 came from the School of Physical Sciences. And so it really is, I think, showing that we're doing a great job. The other thing that I want to sort of just bring up as a success story of the school that some of you have taken advantage of, but I would encourage more of you to, is that the Department of Physics and Astronomy does have an observatory with a 24-inch telescope. It's up here on the hill that probably most of you have never had the opportunity to do it, and some of the viewing is really spectacular. The next observatory night is on February 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. It's at night, it's in February, and so it is, the potential for it being cool outside is high, and so if you come prepared to be outside for a bit. We tend to get a lot of people at these events, and so it is very popular. But please, if you have an opportunity to come to that, that's really great. There's a couple of other things that faculty have been involved in that I wanted to let you know. One of our faculty in chemistry, Reginald Penner, is an electrochemist. He's also the director of our Solar Energy Center in the School of Physical Sciences. He was just awarded a very special prize that is particularly special for electrochemists. There's the sort of British equivalent of the National Academy of Sciences is called the Royal Society. And the Royal Society has an electrochemistry group, and each year they give out a prize or an award that's named after Faraday. Now, Faraday was a chemist, I'm pleased to say. Most of you have heard the name Faraday. At the time Faraday was alive, if you were a chemist, they actually called you a natural philosopher. That's sort of the fun bit of information. But Reg was given the Faraday Prize this year, which is, for an electrochemist or a chemist in general, that's a big deal. What that means is, people from England will be paying for him to fly over to England, give talks, and so on. So, in any case, it's a great honor. The other thing that's happened, and I may have mentioned this in the fall, but I want to mention it again because it really is a big deal. Some of you have heard of the Large Hadron Collider. This is a massive international collaboration in high-energy physics that is being carried out at CERN in Switzerland. This is the largest scientific experiment ever conducted. And Andy Langford, who is a member of our physics department, has just been appointed as the deputy director of one of the major components of that experiment. So UCI is right in the middle of this really major high-energy physics experiment that will go on for the next 10 to 15 years. So there's a lot going on in the school, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to have Professor Zhao give the breakfast lecture series today. Let me give you a little background on Professor Zhao. Hong Kai was born and raised in Beijing. He received his bachelor's degree in math from Peking University, and then came to the United States for graduate work. He did his PhD in math from UCLA. He then went to Stanford University as the Gabor Tsago Assistant Professor in Mathematics, and then he came to UCI in 1999. In 2002, Professor Zhao was awarded the Sloan Research Fellowship from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation in mathematics. That's a really big deal. He's also a great teacher, which I hope we'll hear today as well as he gives a lecture to us. He's also received the Outstanding Contribution to Undergraduate Education Award from the school. In 2007, he received another international prize called the Feng Kang Prize for contributions to scientific computing. His research is in the area of applied mathematics and using that in computational mathematics. So he in fact does mathematics that lets us teach computers how to do things that we want them to do. And so with that, let me turn things over to Professor Zhao.